Here are the 4 core fears of the anxious attachment style. As a coach for people with an anxious attachment style and a former anxious attacher myself, now secure, I know what it's like to struggle with these fears firsthand, and I talk about them every single day with my coaching clients. Make sure you watch to the end because the final 2 fears are the least obvious and the least discussed. Let's get into it. So the first fear is also the most obvious. We're always aware of this one, and that is a fear of abandonment. That's right. On some level, we understand that we're deeply afraid of being left, cheated on, or not being chosen. By the way, this permeates every aspect of our lives, our professional lives, our personal lives, our platonic relationships, our romantic relationships with friends, with family. It manifests everywhere and in a lot of different ways. Second core fear that drives the experience of anxious attachment is a fear of unworthiness. Now you can call this shame or inadequacy or being afraid of being too much or not good enough. It's all the same thing. Anxious attachers often struggle with low self-worth, and this fear is an expression of that. Third core fear that anxious attachers struggle with is one that we're not usually consciously aware of, and that is a fear of intimacy. That's right. Even though we crave closeness and connection, we're also afraid of it. We don't fully believe that we're worthy of it, and it feels deeply uncomfortable when we have emotional availability presented to us because we're not accustomed to it. We typically date emotionally unavailable people. It feels like a farce. Okay, it's time for the fourth and final fear, which is a fear of stagnation. Because so many of us have experienced heartbreak and rejection and abandonment again and again and again, we come to expect that we'll always date emotionally unavailable people and we'll always struggle with feelings of anxiety and shame in our relationships. We think we're never going to grow out of this. We're never going to break the pattern. It's always going to repeat, and this is how it's going to be for the rest of our lives. So if you feel stuck or like you'll never grow more secure or you'll always date the same kind of person or you're always going to feel deeply disconnected in your connections or in your relationships, that's a fear of stagnation. These 4 fears are not mutually exclusive and they often combine in some really interesting ways. But if you sit and reflect on your relationships and experiences, you can probably trace your fears back to one of these core 4.